The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by the UMass 5 College Credit Union, dedicated to creating access to financial well-being for local people, businesses, and communities. Insured by NCUA, umass5.coop. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Northeast Solar in Hatfield, offering personalized solar energy solutions and ongoing customer care, proudly serving communities throughout the Pioneer Valley. northeast-solar.com.
Welcome to the Fabulous 413. I'm Khalees Smith.
And I'm Monty Belmonte. Later in the show, we'll chat with the folks from Genuine Culture, LLC about their upcoming Juneteenth celebrations in Holyoke at the Wistariahurst Museum this Friday.
Plus, we'll celebrate a milestone for the Florence Community Band and their upcoming soiree this Sunday, June 21st.
But first, tonight brings a new novel with deep roots in Western Mass to South Hadley and helps us look at ourselves, the environment, and our friendships in a new perspective. The Emilys is a new novel set in Western Massachusetts, published by Random House and available as of today.
The Emilys follows two childhood friends, Eve and Demeter, who reunite in adulthood and search for answers when Demeter's daughter develops a mysterious illness that makes her allergic to sunlight.
It begins as a medical mystery, then deepens into a story of love and connection among mothers, friends, and neighbors navigating uncertainty and fear. And we are joined by the author of The Emilys, Heather Abel.
I'm so glad to be here.
Oh, there's more. Heather Abel's previous novel is The Optimistic Decade. Her essays have appeared in the New York Times, Slate, BuzzFeed, and the Paris Review Daily. She worked as a reporter and editor in California and Colorado before moving to New York, where she received an MFA in fiction writing from the New School University. She's taught creative writing at UMass Amherst and the New School and is currently a lecturer and creative writing teacher at Smith. Heather will celebrate the release of The Emilys at First Congregational Church in South Hadley tonight under the banner of the Odyssey Bookshop, and she joins us now.
I'm really happy to be here.
Thanks for joining us.
We're happy to have you. We got the pitch about this book a while ago, and it hit all of the right marks, including the Western Mass mark. But I wanted to make it clear to people that this is a book that's going national. It's Random House, and everyone in America is going to know a lot of details about Western Mass specifically. We have talked to a lot of
authors.
authors.
They will think that you're making them up.
No, but so many of them
are not.
It is a novel, but
fiction.
There's so much real Western Mass action that happens in this. And it's interesting because we've had a bunch of authors on who set their work in a fictionalized version of Western Mass. You did not. You have a whole chapter on Captain Jack's Roadside Shack in East Hampton, which I was reading this on the beach, and I was like, listen to this, Captain Jack's Roadside Shack. Talk about your decision to ground it in the real reality of Western Mass where we live, despite it being a novel.
I think of place in fiction as big as character, right? Like the place is a character. And what is Northampton and Western Mass but a really incredible character, both funny and fascinating and very rich in history. I really wanted to bring in the history of this place. I wanted to bring in the social history as well as the ecological history. And if I did that and I made it like Forthampton or Northampton, it wouldn't be true to the story I wanted to tell, which is how a place like this came to be and how it changed and also where it's going.
As of this moment, the three of us are now obliged to spread the myth of Forthampton.
Forthampton. Heather Abel, the book is The Emilys. I don't know if we should spoil why it's called The Emilys or not, but I think we should.
It's pretty much the caveat of the whole book.
But The Emilys is kind of the name of the people that are suffering from this condition. Talk about the name of this condition and thus the name of the book.
So the people who have this condition, and I'm going to make it clear from the outset that it's not everyone in Forth/Northampton who has it.
Right.
It is a few people, and people are trying to figure out why these people, what's happening, what's going on. And so the people who have it can't go outside in the sunlight. They can't be in light, but they really can't get outside during the day. And as people talk about this and think, is this even real? Like, is this even happening? They start talking about Emily Dickinson, our poet of Western Mass, who kind of presides over this area. And so once I had a character say, they're just like Emily Dickinson, I thought, let's call them the Emilys because here she is. And I wanted to bring her in for other reasons because she's so connected with the place, with the history, but also with the natural world.
Talk about bringing in so much of wellness and utopia culture and history into this book.
Yes. The book really started when I took a tour from the David Ruggles Center, right? They do these incredible abolitionist tours. I was new here. This was 2 decades ago. And I was like, oh, I have not just moved to some random place. I've moved to a place with incredible history that I don't know, and I'm going to learn it. And so I took the tour, and there we were standing at the, what was the first egalitarian commune of America, right? It was like men and women and people of all races all had a vote. And this was in the 1850s. And I was standing there and they were talking about it. And I thought, that's really funny. That's where my kid takes a dance class and where I've gotten some like treatment for neck pain. And I was so drawn into, and across the street from it was the water cure. And water cures were really big in America at the time, and they were really centered in Western Mass. And I just thought it's so interesting that these utopian communities happened then, and they're continuing to happen now. So I put in a little commune in the 80s. I put in other collectives because I think that is a real part of the sandstone of our area. And I think also healing is a big part of our area. And I thought it's not just what it is now, it's where we came from and how we got here.
And the book, it looks at healing from all sorts of different perspectives. And some of the skeptical perspectives, the condition that they have where the light affects them, there is no cure. And there is a lot of skepticism whether they're faking it or not. So there's a lot of parallels, too, with COVID.
Interestingly, I started the book before the pandemic, and the very first scene I wrote was of the main character, Eve, and she was walking from my house downtown to the CVS to get a vaccine for an illness. And then the pandemic happened, and I thought, okay, I cannot include a vaccine in this book. Sort of my fantasy became the world's fantasy. But I did want to write about the experience of having undiagnosed illness and how you're really left to search everywhere. And so I wasn't coming down on what is right, because when you are sick or when someone you love, like your kid, is sick, you take guidance from wherever you can. And sometimes that is deeply frustrating and people aren't believing you, but sometimes you find, like the characters in the book do, find ways to connect and get help.
Can you talk about the ways that research gets presented in your book? Because your main character and several other characters are all kind of doing their own look into how to treat this, and they all have their own ways of going about the research.
Definitely. So one way that research comes in is, I'm a huge fan of libraries, and I have one of my main characters is named Ruth, and she's a librarian. She happens to work in Forbes Library, although it's not named. And she has some of the old stuff that has been, sitting around the library forever and is about to be tossed. So she's looking through those old documents. I have a character who goes to the Smith Botanic Gardens, where I spend a lot of my time, especially in the winter, to see the green, and he's going and looking through the old herbarium. And I just spent time thinking about, where's the history of this place stored? And could my characters look for it? And so kind of the places that I then went to look for it, I let them go search around. And then, of course, they have to actually go into the woods to look for a cure as well.
And one big plot point that we haven't brought up so far is ticks. Talk about using the potential of ticks and tick-borne illnesses as one of the vehicles that you're talking about in this book that may or may not be a potential reason that the Emilys are suffering from this sun sensitivity.
So when I was writing the book, my kids were pretty little, and I really wanted outdoor kids. I just was like, here we are living in this beautiful place, let's go into the woods. And every time we went into the woods, we would find a tick or someone would talk to us about ticks. And I thought, this is ripe for fiction, because there's something in this gorgeous place that is frightening. And so, anytime you have like both desire for connection to the natural world, and fear connecting, to me that feels like, oh, I want to write something about that. I have questions that I want to figure out. How can we be somewhere when the outdoors is frightening, potentially dangerous, and yet is a source of such solace at the same time?
I'll just add, without ruining too much, that there is an entire chapter told from the perspective of the ticks, which I thought was a brilliant little addition. Almost came out of nowhere in the middle of the story, and I was like, this is really fun.
Would you like a little secret, a little background secret?
Yes.
So for 1 year of the pandemic, I decided to research everything I could about Northampton's area, and I wrote 75 pages from the perspective of a tick of an alternate history of Northampton starting 20,000 years ago with the glacial lake to the present. And my agent was like, Heather, I'm not sure we're selling the book with 75 pages from the perspective of a tick. And he asked me to take them out, and then we did. Book sold, great, got a great editor. I told her about that jokingly, and at one point when we were trying to figure out a plot situation, she's like, how about putting just a tiny bit of that in? So I'm so glad it got in there.
Yeah, you did all that hard work. You don't want it to go to waste.
It always goes somewhere.
Yeah, it made for a fun part of the book.
It worked for Leilani Paul. Why couldn't it work for you?
Exactly.
Can you talk about, name-wise, experience-wise, there seems to be this interesting new world versus old world conversation going on. Like, your main character's name is Eve. Her friend's name is Demeter and Persephone. And, like, there continues to be, like, this interesting friction between more, like, old world practices and new world knowledge. Can you talk about that as, like, kind of the main conceit of this friendship at the core of your book?
Yeah. Oh, I love that you pointed that out. So I wanted to write a friendship novel, and this novel is so many things, but at its core, it really is about friends in midlife finding each other. They'd had this kind of exciting summer together when they were 12, and they're finding each other now. And I wanted to think about when you have a friend who you love, you feel connected to, but your worldviews are just totally different. I didn't want them politically different, but I wanted their understanding of how we live on Earth. Do we have a soul? Where is healing? I wanted those things to be separate. And because friendship is, to me, as dramatic as a romantic relationship. And I wanted to show that in this book. So they needed to be things that pull them away from each other, just as there are things that pull them toward each other. I love that one of the things that pull them away from each other is one believes in souls and one really would like to believe in souls and cannot. And because that has been true in my life. I feel those differences between friends, and I'm intrigued by them between people.
I don't think this is too much of a spoiler, but it might be to a certain extent that in some ways the Emilys and the mystery illness is the MacGuffin, where this is really a story about mothers and daughters, about relationships, and especially relationships between women, it seems.
I have this note from reading your book, and it just says, keep track of the dudes.
The dudes don't come across great in this book.
There are some dudes.
They don't really drive a whole lot. Their relationships with the women in this book is almost sidebar to remind people of the framework within which the women that we are focusing on have to work. And I thought that was fascinating. That's why I have that note. It's like, just keep track of the dude.
Well, it is a story about Northampton, Massachusetts.
Yes.
Okay, let's just be true to that.
Right.
I remember when I first moved here, and I wrote to a friend back in New York, and I was like, I can stand on the street corner and wait half an hour before I see a guy. It's a Northampton story. It's also a motherhood story. And when you have little kids, you're often hanging out with other mothers. And I wanted to center that, but I just wanted a book filled with women.
I should probably now shout out that I do know one of your children, and we have done Kung Fu together. But I didn't know this going into this. I was reminded.
Everyone's in your Kung Fu class.
Not everyone, but there's a lot of people.
I feel like there's a song there. Everyone's in your Kung Fu class.
Is that how it goes?
Hey, hey. There's a Juneteenth celebration in Holyoke we'll explore along with the anniversary party for the Florence Community Band's 25th this Sunday.
After we delve further into the new novel, The Emilys, with author Heather Abel, as we hear about her own friendships that inspired the book, the illness at its center, and how changes in the environment shape more than the landscape.
You're listening to The Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
Welcome back to Fabulous 413. The book is The Emilys, and it's by Heather Abel. It is in bookstores as of today, published by Random House. You will be in South Hadley at the Congregational Church in conversation with Erin O. White. Talk about your relationship with Erin O. White, because Erin is not a local author, I feel like.
But she was.
Ah, okay.
So when I moved here, I was pretty lonely, a little bit like Eve in the book when she moves here, and I didn't have a job that was in person. And so I decided to start a writer space. I started a thing called the Writer's Mill. I've left, but it moves on. And I met Erin when I was starting it. And Erin and I sat next to each other for, 10 years. We each had 2 babies, and we talked about writing and life every day. Then she moved away. And so she's not Demeter, she's not Eve at all, but friendship has been core in my life. And so she moved away. She's now a Minneapolis writer with a wonderful book called Like Family, which just came out. But we still talk every day for an hour. I walk around the Smith Pond. I walk into the dog park. I chat with her. She's in Minneapolis. She's walking around a rose garden or something. But we still talk about writing and life every day.
Aww.
That's great.
I wanted to ask about Eve's choice to use pseudonyms for some of the characters in the book.
Yeah. So the book is framed by two sections that take place 12 years later. The main part of the book is, I think, 2024. I'm always moving it kind of forward, as you write. And then there's the beginning and the end take place 12 years after that. Eve is writing the book. And as she's writing it, there's people that she's no longer close to. I'm not going to say who they are because that, I think, is a spoiler. But there's people she's no longer close to, and so she uses pseudonyms for them. And I had a lot of fun with pseudonyms.
One of the pseudonyms you use is the mother of Eve, whose name in it is Joan Yalen. And we have just lost the beloved Jane Yolen, whose daughter is also a writer, Heidi Stempel, both of them friend of the show. Our hearts go out to them on that loss. That happened last week. Was that intentional? Joan Yalen as opposed to Jane Yolen?
It started out with me wanting, this is a very writerly thing, I wanted a Y, the letter Y on the page. I was like, I just want to see the Y.
I love it.
And I thought Y, and then I thought Yalen. I have a dear friend, last name Yalen. I put that down. I named her Joan, a woman of that generation, sounds like Joan. She was Joan Yalen for a while, and then I looked at it and I thought, this is a spoonerism of our beloved Jane Yolen. And I went back and forth because they are nothing like each other. Joan Yalen is very acerbic. She's a very difficult mother. But I loved that I was shouting out Jane, whose stories have meant so much to me. And so I kept it in. And when you get to the end, Joan is actually a hero of the book.
I was reading it when I was getting the news of Jane's passing, so it really hit home hard. In addition to all of the things of Western Mass, it hit home so hard in this book.
I realized that this question I was about to ask is a spoiler, so I'm not going to ask it. I'll just ask when we're done.
That's the problem with us. We read the whole book and then we forget where to stop so that we don't ruin it for the listeners. Heather Abel, the author of The Emilys, which is a novel that is out today, you mentioned that you had a book that was 75 pages told from the perspective of a tick. I'm assuming you had to do a lot of research about ticks and their actual behavior and how diseases come about. But the disease that they suffer from, that may or may not be a tick-borne illness, has to do with sensitivity to the light. I know that in the past there was a disease that was like this that some people claim is where the ideas for the vampires come from. No vampires in this book, and I don't even think a mention of vampires. Talk about the decision to make the illness a sensitivity to the sunlight.
Well, I think I wanted to scare myself. It's not a scary book. I had to tell that to my mom. A lot of times I'm like, you're not going to be scared. It's not a horror book. It's not even dystopian where things get worse and worse and worse. But I wanted to put something that actually frightened me. And I am a real outdoor person. I wake up, I want to be outdoors. It's what I really love about living here. And I thought, okay, what if you couldn't do that, Heather? I had heard about the allergy. So alpha-gal is a tick-borne illness, and it gives you an allergy to meat. And I thought, well, what if you had an allergy to being outside? And that frightened me. And I wanted to see where that fear would take me in writing.
Was there ever a time where you thought about including the idea of vampires in this book at all?
There was, for sure, but that scared me too much.
Really? That's interesting.
I wanted not to put any real vampires in. I did put some vampire lore in, and it got edited out at some point, as things do.
Can you talk about the ecological grief in this novel?
I can definitely do that. I wanted to write a novel that was both fun to write and fun to read. And I wanted to write a novel that was about hope, but I also wanted to talk about ecological grief because I wanted a book that accompanied people when they felt this grief and the sorrow that we all walk around with. Some days we totally ignore it. Some days I totally ignore it. And some days we feel it really strongly. And I wanted a book that felt like an accompaniment to that and didn't push it away. And so that was a starting point for me. And I wanted to think about loving a place like Western Mass and how the places we love change and how the places are changing in really individual ways. I didn't want to think about a climate disaster that was an apocalyptic thing that the whole world was suddenly going to be indoors forever.
Because we had that with COVID as one of your,
exactly.
your predicating situations.
And I had to switch that around. But I wanted to think about how it's so local, right? You have a flood here, you have a fire there, you have an illness here, and how when things like that happen, it impacts relationships, friendships. One friend has something, one friend doesn't, marriages, and in both ways that are complicated, right? That there's jealousy and there's confusion, but also ways that are really supportive. How do we come together? How are we going to support each other? There are people in the book who, well, I'll say there's a character named Ruth who I talked about, and then there's a character named Stephen, and they both were married to the same woman at different times. And they really dislike each other. I mean, Ruth really dislikes Stephen at the start of the book. But as they're working through this moment and this moment of ecological grief, they come together. And I see that is what's going to bring us forward, being with our neighbors and the people local to us.
The book is called The Emilys. It is out in stores today. It's written by Northampton author and Smith professor Heather Abel. Heather will be in conversation at the which number congregational church is it? First Congregational Church in South Hadley.
At the fourth congregation.
Yes, under the banner of the Odyssey Bookshop in South Hadley. Despite the fact that this is a national Random House publication book, it is so 413 centric. More than I think any book that we've read that isn't a history of this area.
I agree.
For a novel, it's got all of the beats that you want from the area where you live. A little bit of the terror of ticks. Not a vampire book, not a horror, but a wonderful book about relationships, especially relationships between women.
And lucky you'll have like an extra inside knowledge that the rest of the nation will have no idea about when they read this book.
Yeah, you'll see all the places in your mind, like Captain Jack's Roadside Shack, like I did when I was on the beach.
And everybody else is just going to have sort of like nondescript New England town.
Thanks so much for sharing this book with us and for coming in today.
Oh, thank you. I'm such a fan of the show, so it was a thrill to be here. Thanks.
Thanks. Now I get to ask you my question about motherhood because it's not going to end up in the show. It would have been a really big spoiler. We'll get into how Wistariahurst is teaming up with Genuine Culture, LLC to bring Juneteenth to Holyoke on Friday.
After we learn about the 25-year history of the Florence Community Band and how they'll celebrate the milestone with a concert at Look Park this Sunday.
Order of operations. You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Berkshire Choral International, performing British Mavericks, choral orchestral works by Britton and Smith, June 27th at the UMass Fine Arts Center, berkshirechoral.org. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Visiting Angels West Springfield, providing home care for seniors and veterans in Hampden County, including Angel Care, short-term post-surgery support for seniors and their loved ones. visitingangels.com/West Springfield.
What instrument would you like?
Horn charts? No, thanks.
They were way too well behaved last night. They were not normal. They were not normal.
I knew Khalees was there.
They were hyper focused. We were talking about it. I don't know if you heard when I moved to the back.
Yeah.
I said, "Why are you all being so quiet?" And somebody said, "That's because we're intimidated."
Public radio is supposed to be quiet.
I think you should show up every week. We get so much done.
Welcome back to the Fabulous 413. The Florence Community Band is based in Florence, obviously a village of Northampton. The Florence Community Band was founded on April 18th, 2001. Their first rehearsal took place at the Florence Congregational Church with 10 members in attendance.
Today, their membership roster totals over 55. Everyone is welcome. There's no auditions required. They're funded solely through donations. There are no dues, and concerts are free, but they do request the donation of non-perishable food items for the Northampton Survival Center.
And this year, they're celebrating their 25th anniversary with a concert at the Pines Theater at Look Park on Sunday, June 21st at 2 p.m.
We are joined by founder of the band, music director and conductor Priscilla Ross, clarinetist Linda Davis-Delano, and Molenaar on alto sax. Thank you so much for joining us.
Priscilla, you are the queen of the desert / Florence Community Band.
That's right.
Tell us about the genesis of this, the birth of the band.
The birth of the band.
25 years ago.
25 years ago, I was driving to Belchertown High School to go to their rehearsals, and
Belchertown has their
community band,
Okay.
yep, which was huge. And
still is.
I had just had my third kid, I remember saying, it'd be a lot easier if we had a band in Florence. Then I wouldn't have to drive to Belchertown.
Yes.
Well, that was not true. Like the idea that showing up someplace was more difficult than actually starting an organization.
How foolish you were.
And then my husband was in Florence barbershop getting his hair cut by Mike Flynn, who was the owner at the time. And Mike Flynn was saying, Florence needs something. We need something to make it our own. And my husband said, my wife wants to start a community band, but she doesn't know anything about organizing. And Mike said, I don't know anything about music, but I know a lot about organizing. And then we started the band about 2 months later.
Did you start a barbershop quartet to go with it?
No.
I know when you were saying Florence barbershop,
amazing.
and I'm like, oh, so your husband also sings.
Clarinetist Linda Davis-Delano, tell us when you joined the band.
Well, it's an interesting story. My son was in middle school, and the director there, Claire Ann Williams, suggested that the kids join the Florence Community Band. There was like a special invitation during the summer after he was in 6th grade and had just learned how to play the French horn. I picked up my clarinet that I still had in my closet. It was a little musty. He was on book 1, note 1, and so I got the comparable clarinet book and learned along with him, or relearned along with him. And then I said, let's go play in the band. And he goes, okay. And so we did. And I've been playing ever since, and that was about 15 years ago.
Wow, and is your son still part of it too?
No, he moved.
Flew the coop.
He's living in the state of Washington now.
That's an even longer commute than Florence to Belchertown.
Yeah, I know. I told him to
Part
come
of it.
back for the the 25th anniversary on the 21st.
What about you, Yop? Tell us about your relationship with the Florence Community Band.
Well, I hadn't played for 38 years, and then last fall I said, well, so I looked online and said, looked at and went to a couple of rehearsals with different community bands. This was just very welcoming. Good thing too, there was no audition because I hadn't played in 38 years. So that's great. Yeah, so I picked it up and I love it. And there's a lot of people with the same experience, that they haven't played for 20 years, 30 years, or in my case 38. And then they pick it up again.
I got to sit in on one of your rehearsals, which was really fun, and your repertoire is very varied. How do you choose what is coming up for your season?
So I try to make sure that we have a wide range of styles and genres and difficulty for the band, both to keep their interest and also for our audience. I always try and have some swing, some big bands, some musicals, a march on occasion. We don't love marches, but I play those on occasion. And trying to pick up some more contemporary music. I think you heard Carry On Wayward Son.
Yep.
Is that contemporary?
Well, I know, that's funny.
Considering.
Yeah, compared to John Philip Sousa.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's to get the interest of the younger groups, because it's really hard to recruit younger members, and the diminishing of the funding for music in the schools also is impacting that, right? We really want people to still experience playing in a band in a community for the fun of it, and also improve while they're doing it.
Where you were rehearsing at Northampton High School, I'm assuming that your timpanist is not bringing those timpanis every time, like of their own timpanis to rehearsal.
Yeah.
But are all of the other members of the band required to bring their own instruments, or is there some sort of programming that allows them to access instruments that they know how to play but may not own anymore?
So most people bring their own instruments. We have had situations where someone's wanted to play but didn't have an instrument, and so we just reach out to the band director at the high school, the band director at the middle school, and see if they have any kicking around. All of our percussion equipment is the high schools. We have a great relationship with the band director at the high school, Paul Kinsman.
Do you need to read music fluently to be part of this band? Is it assumed that you, at some point in your life, knew how to read music, and while there are no auditions, you better get back up to speed on which clef you're playing in?
Most people, I would say 99% of the people, have read music at some point. We have had people on occasion who've joined because they wanted to learn to read music, like they've always played, but they've never been able to read.
And they started with horn charts?
What were your observations eavesdropping on their rehearsal? I wasn't able to go and sit in on their rehearsal, but tell us what you observed there, Khalees.
Well, there's a really funny moment where I was trying to move slightly away from the percussion so it wasn't quite so loud in my recording. And somebody who was handing out the music for the night turned around and went, and what section are you in?
Be careful, because Khalees could just jump right in and be part of the band right away.
I sure cannot. Horn charts are the bane of my existence. They
Play
were
another instrument.
Instrument-wise, what's the current makeup of the Florence Community Band? you've got cornets, you've got flugelhorn, you've got a sousa, you've got euphoniums. Like, it run kind of all of the gamut between reeds and brass.
It's pretty classic concert band, but we are lucky that we have some more of the more rare parts. We have a contrabass, clarinet, a couple bari sax players, which is pretty incredible. Lots of French horns. There were only 2 there last night, but we have plenty of French horns.
Full section of flutes and clarinets and saxes.
Trumpets.
Yeah,
we
trumpet
have
as well.
we're very lucky. We have a bassoon player. We have 2 oboes.
Yeah.
2 oboes.
I
How
know.
cool is that?
I have 2 oboes.
And
They help my arms bend.
And we also, a couple of years ago, Sarah joined us, and she is a mallet player, and she's insane the way she can play. It's so cool to hear her hammer out those parts, and they sound so good.
Yop, you are the alto or an alto saxophonist, or saxophonist, depending on who we ask, how to pronounce that correctly for the Florence Community Band. What's the favorite piece that you're playing currently right now in your 25th anniversary season with this band?
I would say Tuxedo Junction, maybe. I like that.
Tuxedo Junction.
Yeah.
What about you, Linda?
I always have trouble picking. I like the challenging pieces, but for the 21st, we're playing some what I would call patriotic songs mixed with pop rock and stuff like that. Like we're playing America the Beautiful, because it is the 250th anniversary of
Is it?
the country.
No, I'm just kidding.
And it's so
We're going
nice
to hear
that,
nothing but that for the
and
next
it's so
few
nice
weeks.
that you're
Playing
playing the
things
song
like-
that should be the anthem instead of what we have.
Yeah.
But, exactly, and we're playing Relax and other
Why Frankie
songs
Goes to
that-
Hollywood, relax?
No, it's entirely different.
Oh, okay.
It's a rumba.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it really makes you want to move, and there are some great sax parts in different pieces.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be there.
Is this program made up mostly of like newer pieces to get people more involved, or did you go back through your catalog to try and find favorites over the years to incorporate?
So for this concert, it's a little bit different because what we've done for the 21st is I've picked what I call some familiar favorite songs. And we've sent out an email to all the community band directors that we had email addresses for, inviting them to come for the day. So come in the morning, we'll rehearse, we'll have lunch together, and then we will perform at 3 o'clock. Already we have 88 people signed up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And we used to do this years ago, and then Ira Brzezinski, who's in many community bands, resurrected this idea of the Community Band Festival a couple of years ago, and we decided to resurrect it ourselves. And I happened to run into the Justin Peelis, the head of Look Park, at a bar in Florence, and said,
Best place to get work done.
"Hey, is the Pines Theater available?" And he said, "Let me check." And he got back to me and said, "You can have this date." And so it just evolved from there.
For Linda and Yop, what has being a part of this band changed about your personal lives outside of band?
Linda?
The first thing it did for me is gave me a stress reliever from my job. I'm retired now, and so I've been able to get more involved in the band. Outside of band, it's just something to talk about to my pickleball teammates, and recruit them to concerts. On the golf course, there are a couple of us who play in different community bands, so it's a conversation starter. It's a lot of fun, and it also helps solidify the relationship with my son early on.
Yeah.
That's what it's done for me.
What about you, Yop?
Well, for me, I have been farming for a long time. And farming is, in the season, stressful. And this is a great way to just get out of that and just play. Yeah, it's just the camaraderie of the musicians, too. It's just, you play there, but you socialize with other people. And, you have reasons to invite friends. You have other, to concerts and what have you. For me, it's also reminiscing. I used to play in an orchestra that my great-grandfather founded in the Netherlands. So for me, there's memories there. It's just a lot of stuff. It's just great.
And Priscilla, are there lessons that you learned playing with Belchertown that you were able to incorporate in the way that you lead the Florence Community Band?
I don't think I was in it long enough, and I was so young. Which is why I was crazy to think I could start my own band and it would be easier than driving across the bridge to go to Belchertown for rehearsals. But I do remember Mike Bauer was the conductor at the time, and I think he was the retired band director from the high school, and he really did. He made everybody feel included and welcome, and the idea of no auditions, no dues was really important to me as well.
Do you have any regrets 25 years later? Should have just stuck with the Belchertown Community Band?
I have zero regrets. This band has evolved. It just goes through phases. And in the beginning, it was very small. And as it grew, it became a little bit more of a social hub for people, and some friendships developed. We have quite a few partnerships that developed in our band that are still going strong. And then there was a period of time where like 20 or 25 of us would go after band to the VFW in Florence and hang out. And then COVID hit. And we got the biggest we'd ever been before COVID, just before COVID. We were about 60, 65.
We were big.
And then COVID hit. And we were desperate the second summer to get together. And so I was working in Northampton in the industrial park, and the landlord of the building that I was working in let us use the parking lot. I just saw a picture of the first rehearsal where we were spaced about 10 feet apart instead of 6 because, spit.
Yeah.
It was such a great feeling. There were about 20 of us, I think.
Yeah,
and people
was awesome.
it just felt so good to be back. And then over the past couple of years, we've seen it grow back. It's become, again, a social outlet for many people. There's a group that goes out afterwards. There's some people who have dinner parties together. It's very sweet. And there's some lasting friendships that have developed.
I'll say that I had the opportunity to perform with the Florence Community Band years ago at now called Transformance, the big event also at Look Park that benefits the arts in the Northampton schools, where it was Off the Map, and Steve Sanderson, part of the Northampton Arts Council and morning show host on 93.9 The River, conscripted me, said, "Monty, will you be Frankie Pioneer Valley?" And we did You're Just Too Good to Be True. And that was a delight for me to be able to sing at the front of the Florence Community Band.
That was a lot of fun.
Part of your 25-year history at the Florence Community Band.
If anyone has been intrigued by our conversation with you and wants to pick up an instrument, gathering dust and memories in their house and come join you, how do they do this?
They show up. A lot of people email me and let me know a little bit about their history and if they can join, and it's always, of course. We take a break in the summer because we don't have a place to rehearse. We follow the school calendar, so we start back up at the end of August, and anybody's welcome.
I can fill in with that. So I contacted Priscilla, and she says, "Yeah, you sure, come over." And I bring my instrument, but I had no intention to play because I hadn't played in 38 years. And here is this lady saying, "Jump right in, no problem." I said, "Really?" And I did. It was great.
He did great.
Congratulations on 25 years. We've been speaking with the founder and conductor of the Florence Community Band, Priscilla Ross, as well as 2 band members, Linda Davis-Delano, who plays clarinet, and Jaap Molenaar, who plays alto saxophone. Have a great show on Sunday the 21st at Look Park.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Our pleasure. They really are genuinely asking anybody with an instrument to just show up on Sunday and be a part of the whole thing. It's pretty cool. Now to celebrate freedom for everyone with the Juneteenth event at Wisteria Hearst Museum in Holyoke and those organizers making the celebration happen.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by the Handle Factory Community Clay Center, offering hands-on wheel throwing at the Green River Festival in Greenfield, June 19th and 21st. HandleFactory.com. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Eastworks, 4 floors of makers, artists, and entrepreneurs located in the Mill District in East Hampton, where community happens. Learn more at eastworks.com.
Welcome back to the Fabulous 413. On June 19th, Wisteria Hearst Museum and Genuine Culture welcome guests to the Wisteria Hearst Gardens for their annual Juneteenth event. Celebrate Juneteenth. This event commemorates freedom and the country's second Independence Day through community and celebration.
Wisteria Hearst and Genuine Culture are collaborating for the 4th year to bring back this celebration for the Holyoke community and beyond. You can enjoy activities throughout Wisteria Hearst's grounds, play games in the gardens, get creative with hands-on art projects, and more. There's something for everyone with activities for people of all ages.
The event will feature performances, music, and local food vendors, Black-owned businesses, makers, and artists selling a variety of locally made items. Local organizations will also have tables at the event, sharing information on their initiatives and what work they're doing in the community.
And with us to talk about the event are Museum Director Megan Seiler and founders of Genuine Culture LLC, Teresa Cooper-Gordon and Damani Gordon. Welcome back to the show, everybody.
Hey, peace, good people.
Thanks for having us.
How did last year go for Juneteenth at Wisteria Hearst?
It was great. Hot. Very hot. But we had a water slide. We were ready to go.
Nice.
But it was wonderful.
Yeah, it was a great show last year. Each year we see it grow.
That's the
It
important
gets
bit.
bigger and bigger, and the participation is amazing, and people love it. So every year we try to make it even more exciting. So don't miss this one.
That's right.
Teresa Cooper Gordon and Damani Gordon, founders of Genuine Culture LLC. Talk about what Genuine Culture LLC is, if people aren't familiar with it, and what made you want to found it. Let's start with you, Teresa. Who's also Damani's mother, I should say. Also, kind of like friend of the family, good friends with Kari and Jiri. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Fantastic dancer.
I've
I've seen.
She's showing off her moves now, everyone.
Genuine Culture. I remember myself doing a lot of promotion and a lot of production at Hampshire College. When Damani and the boys were growing up, their dad did a lot of the announcement at Bright Moments at the University of Massachusetts. And their dad also did some production in the Amherst area for families. So when Damani talked to me about this idea that he had, and he said, "Mom, what do you think? Can we do this?" And so I said, "Of course we can do this," and we put it together and we did it. And the great part about Genuine Culture is connecting the generations, and it's one of the quotes that we have on our card, because we are connecting the generation. They grew up with the music, and I grew up with their music. And the best part about it is when you're listening to a jazz song and your kid comes to you and say, "Yo, mommy, such and such sampled that," and it's a jazz artist. So it's just been great to be able to work with my son and to also bring everybody to the table, because you don't have to just be one generation at the table. I believe in bringing all the generations, because that's how we share and that's how we bring the culture together from historical perspectives. So I love it. I'm proud.
Yes.
What about you, Damani? Talk about your relationship to Genuine Culture, what you bring into the table. And you've been on a bunch of times talking about different events.
Oh, and I am the vice president.
Who's the president?
I'm the
Damani.
president.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
I'm the president. But, Mom Dukes is always the president.
Yeah.
I keep her like that, But yes, as my mother was saying, we started officially in 2017. I had the idea a couple years before, and it just, growing up in this area, Western Mass, at the time, in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s, it was a really hotbed of music, art, and culture. Especially Black music, art, and culture. So from Bright Moments to the Black Mass Communication Project at UMass, there was just a whole bunch of events and different artists that would come through, from Queen Latifah to Common to The Roots. So that was really inspiring, and we were involved in that as youth. We had access to that and the community connections. And along the way, I felt like a little bit of that was getting lost. And I felt like it's important to keep that culture and to keep the vibrancy in Western Mass alive. So that's how Genuine Culture pretty much started. In 2017, we had our first event with Storyboard P, who was a legendary Brooklyn street dancer. He was just in Drake's Little Birdie video, if you want to check that out. And I was right in Holyoke. So we're about bringing people together, bringing the culture together, and just creating access and giving avenues for people to enjoy and learn.
Talk about how important it was for Genuine Culture itself to do a Juneteenth celebration as opposed to being a part of somebody else's Juneteenth celebration.
Yeah, I think it's important because we're based out of Holyoke, and it's local, and I think sometimes there's certain stigmas, as we talked about with Holyoke, and there is serious Black culture in Holyoke as well. So I think it was great to connect with Wisteriahurst, which is just a beautiful place that we have in Holyoke. It's a gem that people may not even know about. So it's great to connect the history of the Wisteriahurst with the history of Juneteenth and put that together, especially on the 250th anniversary of America, right?
If I could just add, I think that it's also important to know that it's about cultures, and it's about bringing the cultures together. So it's not about just one group doing it. I think when we collaborate and we do things together, we get everybody to come in, and this is American history. And so
Correct.
that's what that is all about too, that reminder.
That's Teresa Cooper Gordon and Damani Gordon from Genuine Culture, LLC. We are also with Megan Seiler of Wisteria Hearst Museum in Holyoke. Who approached whom about doing a Juneteenth event? Was it Genuine Culture saying, can we do it at Wisteria Hearst? Or Wisteria Hearst saying, we'd love to do something?
Well, we'd worked with Erica Slocum, and she really helped drive our first Juneteenth. And I think she'd reached out to you two as well.
She's a historian. She's been on the show a bunch of different times.
Oh yeah,
she's
she's fantastic.
A dynamo.
Yes.
And she did the Black Holyoke Project, like two iterations of that, and
a Black History Project
Oh, yeah.
on NEPM.
Yes.
You can find
she's
on
incredible.
PBS Passport.
She was just in our archives. I can't shout her out enough. And so we were doing the work, and I think we all kind of came together. And we're like, we want to keep this going and have it again and again and again. And they kept saying, yes, we're down to do it. And it was, just a wonderful collaboration. It's just been fantastic.
So now I feel like we should talk about what's actually going to be at this year's Juneteenth. Like who's coming back, who's new, what's up for this particular celebration.
Okay, well, we will have balloon animals this year instead of face painting for the kiddos. We'll have a bounce house instead of water slide because for the first year it is not 1,000 degrees.
Right.
I don't know why I'm so excited about a bounce house.
So far, the most inflatable Juneteenth you've ever done.
It
Got balloon animals, you got bounce houses. What else can we blow up?
Blowing it up.
Whoa!
Let's not give anyone any ideas.
Run it with our mouths.
Wow!
We have DJ Piso Pete back again.
Yes.
We have the Holyoke Housing Authority coming back. We have Gems Creations, a local jewelry maker. We have 2 authors. We have Issue coming back to do story time. We've got a really good turnout.
We also have the Voices of Praise that's coming this year.
Yes.
And 250 years, but also the relationship of gospel music and liberation of enslaved people, emancipation. The music played a very important role. There was the codes in the music. It was the inspiration and the encouragement in the music. And Voices of Praise, if you haven't heard them, they are absolutely amazing.
Listeners are hearing them right now.
And they will be there performing. They've performed all over. They travel as a choir as well, and they also were in the last Whitney Houston HBO movie. They were there, and Julia Childs, they were on one of her shows or something.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
so
so
incredible.
So we're looking forward to having them this year, and we're going to have 2 Black women that are authors that live in Holyoke, Massachusetts. So they will be there with their books, and they will be doing a short speech about the importance to encourage our youth, the importance of writing, the importance of being an author, and that anybody can be an author because it's really related to to writing and what you're thinking and putting it out there. So we're really excited about them coming. And SU, by popular demand, wants to be back, and as we know, SU
Bumpus, storyteller.
That is correct. SU is not only a storyteller, but he's also a vocalist as well, and he plays instruments as well. So this year we're going to be treated with some vocals from him as well. But the stories are going to be there. He's going to tell the stories as well. So so we're real excited about it. Yeah.
And plus,
excited.
it's important for Genuine Culture to have a gospel group there because gospel is at the core of American pop music.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Period.
Absolutely.
Foundation.
Exactly. We can get in. We bring this up all of the time, but pop music, it wouldn't be what it is without Black people.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Name a genre of music that Black people did not either create or have the most influence on, and I'd love to hear it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's polka.
Yeah.
It's polka.
Who knows? That probably has its roots in Africa too,
Right.
We're speaking about the Juneteenth celebration at Wisteria Hearst in Holyoke, which is happening on Juneteenth this Friday. Teresa Cooper Gordon, was Juneteenth something that you celebrated before it became a state holiday here, which was before it became a federal holiday?
No, I knew about it, but there weren't the celebrations. No, I knew about it, but I did not, growing up in Brooklyn, New York, I did not celebrate Juneteenth. When I came here it really wasn't celebrated. But I do remember the first one that I went to that was celebrated in this area. Ray Jordan did it with the brothering, and it was done at King Phillips Park in Springfield. And so to see that being done, it has grown tremendously, because you can see there's so many events happening for Juneteenth now that I love. Yeah.
Which is good, because
Yes, it
the
is.
more people doing those celebrations, the
Yes,
more
it
that
is.
people accept or get accustomed to this holiday happening, and that it is a
Yes.
part of the fabric of
Yes.
like this nation,
Yes.
whether you are a part of the Black community or not.
That's right.
It's American history.
It's
right?
American
That's right.
history.
That's right.
It's
That's
True
right.
Freedom Day.
That's right.
freedom.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right. I had the opportunity last Thursday, McMahon Elementary School in Holyoke. They're the only school in Holyoke that has actually done, and this is their third year of doing a Juneteenth celebration, which was absolutely beautiful because all of the kids take part in it and they contribute, and it's from poetry to dance. I love it.
Oh, that's the
Yeah.
cutest.
It's pretty great. Of course, it's this Friday, Juneteenth, and there is a Juneteenth celebration at Wisteria Hearst. Megan Seiler, museum director, what else is going on this summer in the minute we have left at Wisteria Hearst that people can look forward to?
Oh gosh, plant sales, house tours, our sensory-friendly Sunday fun days. We have Dino Days coming back with the whole Dino Trail.
Yeah, hopefully you'll be hearing about that on the show as well.
We got a lot on the calendar.
Are you going to be doing the haunted Wisteria Hearst stuff again?
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
Now I always think of Wisteria Hearst as haunted, because the last time we were there was to do is Wisteria Hearst haunted kind of situation.
Yes, you'll have to come and find out.
Yes. Meanwhile, we will go and celebrate Juneteenth, the nation's newest federal holiday, the true celebration of freedom. It will be this Friday, June 19th, at Wisteria Hearst in Holyoke, and we've been joined by Wisteria Hearst Museum Director Megan Seiler, as well as founders of Genuine Culture LLC, who are presenting the Juneteenth celebration at Wisteria Hearst, Teresa Cooper-Gordon and Damani Gordon. Thank you so much for coming in once again.
Thank you always for having us.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
Our
Pleasure.
Our pleasure. Tomorrow on the show, we head to the Hitchcock Center for the Environment up in Amherst to check out some of the things that they're doing with rainwater and talk about Battle of the Botanicals.
We are also visit a third generation farm in East Longmeadow at Pomeroy Vegetable Farm. And the Word Nerd will join us.
To talk about slang for us old people who don't understand it,
Yes, learn some new slang on the show tomorrow. If
including numbers.
If you got a question for the Word Nerd, you can email us at thefab413@nepm.org.
Why are numbers slang now?
Yeah, 67.
No.
You'll learn a new number tomorrow that's slang. Kids these days. I'm Monty Belmonte.
I'm Khalees Smith. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the Fabulous 413. More